We've all seen this 1,000 times. You're introduced to some sprawling mystical world with thousands of years of history. The abilities people have access to in this world are numerous and pretty complicated. The characters are engaging, the art is wonderful. The author is cooked with this one. Within the first chapter or first episode or whatever, it's time to get the main character introduced to the powers of this world. The side characters are capable of producing simple yet practical effects, while antagonists are capable of bending the rules of reality to extreme amounts. But finally, it's time for the main character, and they get energy projectiles. Cool. Oh, and they also punch twice as hard. Alright, nice. Time and time again, I've seen this exact same trope or pattern pop up within anime and manga. Increasingly complex worlds and powers with main characters with extremely basic or one-note abilities. For like every 4 anime I've read or watched, I'd say at least one of them has a main character whose ability is equally as complex as their world. The rest have incredibly basic or generic abilities in comparison. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm simply wondering, why is this the case? Is there any reason for this? Let's run through a few examples of the point. I'll be running through characters from different media in quick succession, briefly going over their power system, then touching briefly on their powers, cause their powers are brief. Then I'm gonna go on to the edgy rival that every one of these characters seems to have, who in terms of interesting power sets, the author just seemed to love much more. I should also say that near the conclusion of the story, these characters' ability sets tend to open up quite a decent bit, even if they are just variations of one ability, which they typically are, so this is more so meant to reflect near the middle of the story, or their average use of it. Let's start with a recent heavy hitter in the shonen space, Jujutsu Kaisen. The power system revolves around cursed energy, negative energy that flows out from humans stemming from negative emotions. Sorcerers are capable of using this negative energy to fuel their cursed techniques, abilities which are either inherited from their families or uniquely acquired naturally at some point. Yuji Itadori, the main character of the series, holds the cursed technique of nothing. He is a pure hand-to-hand fighter. He takes the basic principle of applying cursed energy into strikes and runs with it, sticking to purely fighting through martial arts and close combats. Of course, the power system throws him a bone every now and again and expands upon the basics to allow him to grow, but it should be stated that everything he can do, anyone else in the verse can. He has no unique powers. Except for his immunity to poisons, I guess, but who cares. Megami Fushiguro, on the other hand, has quite a large bag. First things first, he has the 10 Shadows, which allows the user to produce 10 unique familiars to aid them in battle, each with their own unique forms and powers. Alongside this comes a pocket dimension for storage, which he can store weapons in, and later on the ability to sneak into other people's shadows for stealth and takedowns. The most powerful of these Shikigami is Mahoraga, or Makora if you want to be accurate, capable of adapting to any and all phenomena that exists. Literally anything. Besides this, he has touched the pinnacle of the verse through domain expansion, even if incomplete. So yeah, when compared to Yuji, the gap is quite large. Bleach is another culprit of this kind of trope. See, Bleach has multiple power systems in it, about 4, though they all stem from the same basic principle of spirit particles and releases. Fighters are capable of doing things like producing storms of cherry blossoms or producing heat so hot it atomizes anything it comes into contact with. Ichigo is a Soul Reaper, and a Hollow, and a Quincy, and oh yeah, he was a Fullbringer for a while. Despite having every single important gene in the verse, his power set remains incredibly basic, summarized as stat boosts and one notable attack, Getsuga Tensho, which is basically just an energy slash. In no way weak, but incredibly basic. Uryu Ishida, on the other hand, only holds one of Ichigo's races, the Quincy. Despite being constantly power crept and literally genetically inferior, he holds a much more varied skill set. He holds an arsenal of spirit weapons which allow him to fight using a variety of strategies and foreplanning, while later gaining access to a Shrift, the Antithesis, which allows him to reverse any damage between 2 targets. Besides this, he holds knowledge of several other Quincy techniques, which just further broaden his capabilities. Of course, Ichigo devours him in a fight, but once again, Iruya's abilities are just so much more complex and frankly interesting. If I'm going over Bleach, might as well go after Naruto too. In this world, ninjas are able to use a spiritual energy called chakra. Using chakra, a ninja is able to perform all kinds of techniques. Ninjutsu, taijutsu, kenjutsu, blah blah blah, you get the point. These ninjas are pretty much capable of doing anything they want with this, from teleportation to replacing themselves with wood or clearing entire mountain ranges with the swing of a sword. Naruto's signature technique is a spiraling ball of chakra that sends people flying backwards. In of itself is not the most basic ability in the world, and it's by no means weak, but what it achieves usually is pretty basic. Besides that, he's got Shadow Clone Jutsu, which is duplication, and for most of the story, that's pretty much it. There's nothing stopping him from picking up countless more jutsu unlike other power systems, he just doesn't. Sasuke, on the other hand, alright, let's look through this. Besides his countless lightning and fire release jutsu, he holds two of the most powerful visual techniques in the entire verse. The Sharingan, which just kept on growing and growing and growing, and later the Rinnegan. The first started off just being able to copy any ninjutsu and casting illusions, two incredibly powerful abilities in their own right, then grew into creating inextinguishable black flames and building up entire mechs of armor for the user to fight from. Between Naruto and Sasuke, Sasuke had the bigger bag for like the entirety of the show. So to answer the question, why is this so common? Clearly, it's not like the author is incapable of writing interesting powers to give their characters, so where does the need to give protagonists such basic abilities stem from? Well, a big portion of it might be audience perception. A complex ability fades from the mind easier than something basic, and recognizability can help with characterization. Think of being a kid. You thought of practicing the Rasengan or Kamehameha. Basic abilities that stick to the mind are generally better for the most recognizable character to have. Another reason could be to create juxtaposition with the world. In order for you to get engaged with the civilization and the rules of this reality, your attention can't be taken away by the main character, else the abilities of antagonists and supporting allies who are meant to seem powerful and mysterious might seem dull in comparison. Interestingly, most power fantasies, isekais and the like, seek to do the opposite, giving their main character incredibly convoluted and powerful abilities to bring attention to them and how they conquer this world. Basic abilities can also serve as limitations, capable of building conflict through the need for strategy and forethought. Having the weaker ability forces the main character to deconstruct and analyze the abilities of their current threat or antagonist, rather than simply being able to beat them through sheer power. JoJo Part 3 achieves this arguably better than any other part of JoJo's. Jotaro by far has the most basic standout of the main JoJo's, of course, up until Time Stop. Finally, it might also serve as a reflection of the character. Shonen stories are usually meant to be uplifting. Even the ones with darker tones usually end on relatively uplifting themes and messages. By giving the main character such a basic ability, you establish the underdog, giving the subtle message that, regardless of what we might start off with enough hard work, effort, and support from our friends and family, we might be able to achieve and conquer what we thought was impossible. Such is the beauty of simplicity, the triumph of human spirit. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like and comment too. Feel free to give my other content a watch, and hey, if you like it, why not subscribe? I'll see you in the next one. Peace.